Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well today. Happy Friday to all of you. For those of you guys that are interested in some of the upcoming classes, make sure to get a hold of my boy Ray here at home office. You could direct message him, Ray Bracamontes, or give him a call at 1-800-777-9170. I'm going to do a little glitter mixing into concealer pink and show you how to sculpt with it. I think it's going to help all of you guys who are struggling with gel. We have a Synergy Gel for Success class coming, so for those of you guys that are actually interested in improving your gel skills, this is going to help tremendously. Let's get right to this. All right, so what we want to be able to do is I'm going to go ahead and take some of the concealer pink. I'm just going to mix out a nice healthy amount on my tile. All right. And what I'm going to do is use some crystal glitter mix. Stuff is awesome, right? So just gonna sprinkle enough to cover the surface, right? And then that way, when we go ahead and press this in, we're going to be able to turn it into a really pretty mix. So what I'll do is I'll just use the painting knife just to kind of press it out. So if you're mixing any kind of glitter into gel, that's really going to add some killer dimension to it, as you can see. Really like the way that looks, subtle, but definitely hot. So I'll go ahead and use the edge and scoop that up and just kind of press this out. You can get the tile at any hardware store, and then you could definitely get the painting knife. It's just a regular painting knife. You can get that on or at Amazon or any art store that you choose to work with. All right, so one of the things I'll do, let me just go ahead and get a wipe. Some of the other supplies are on the other station. Then we're gonna go ahead and go through prep. All right, so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the refill tips that I have, and then I'll just go ahead and clip off just the end. All right, so for those of you guys, again, that are struggling with gel, I think working on a nail trainer is definitely a way to improve your working skills. You'll notice that I take the back end of the cuticle off just to get it nice and smooth. And then this way, when I press this into the surface a few times, it's going to click really well into the surface of the nail. It's not going to pop off while I'm working. I want to be able to work with an arbor band. Sorry, let me go ahead and grab that really fast. And what we want to be able to do is use our electric file. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click this on. We're going to work at about 3,000 RPMs. So definitely want to be able to replicate pushing the cuticles back. All right, so replicate pushing the cuticles back. And honestly, if I'm going to be practicing sculpting, I want to try to remove as much of that tip as I possibly can. And then let's go ahead and use the electric file just to gently remove shine from the surface, right? So I'm using a very light feathering motion from corner to corner as I am working all the way through, okay? Just nice and gentle, the same kind of pressure that you would use on the inside of your wrist. That's the same pressure you would use as if you were going to remove shine from the surface of the natural nail. And then what we want to be able to do is use a little bit of swipe. So you could choose to use a manicure brush, or you could choose to use a lint-free wipe. to go ahead and kind of scrub off all the oils, contaminants. This is also going to dehydrate the nail. And then what you want to do is apply a couple coats of protein bond when you're done. So I'm going to go through all 10 nails. Then as soon as I'm done doing all 10 nails, I would go back for a second coat. That's going to give you optimum adhesion. Doesn't matter if you're working with acrylic or you're working with gel. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to use base gel, okay? And for those of you guys who've purchased a kit, it's inside. I'm going to be working with the master gel brush, the wooden handle, and you'll notice that I pull through the surface to get a nice tail. This is going to give me enough gel on one side of the brush. And then you're going to notice that when I set this down and I pull through, it kind of splits it from side to side. So I'm going to bring the brush on the inside and then use this to just kind of push out and as close to the edges, creating a really nice kind of like ridge, not on the back end, but also down the body and as close to the edge. You'll also notice as I'm working that I'm keeping balance. You see how my fingers connected, right? I usually use both of these fingers here to connect, and that way I don't shake while I work. This right here, this connection is very important, right? You can also see how my brush is connected right here, right to the crease of my hand. It doesn't sit like this while I'm working. It sits like this, right? So once that's done, then what we want to be able to do is we want to go ahead and get that inside the light. And I'm going to go ahead and set that inside the light for a minimum, right, of 30 seconds. But in the end, you're not counting 30. You're just keeping it inside the light while you're working on this hand, right? So it's going to take you at least a minute. So if it cures for a minute, it's not a big deal, right? Put it inside the hand, work on this hand. Do all 5 starting from pinky, working to thumb. Don't start from the thumb and work to pinky. If you start from the thumb, then everything is going to start running down towards this side. If you start from the pinky and work to here, by the time you turn this over and you go in, you're ready to rock and roll, okay? So again, finish the hand and then rotate. So once you're done, then we're now ready for form application. So when we're working with a nude nail, and there was a time when I was doing a lot of, when we started really filming a lot of content, my go-to with Tracy was gel. I mean, we did a lot of gel videos. And I just found it just really easy to mold and shape. And obviously the wearability is unbelievable. So you see the very, very end. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get this on to the very edge, come at an angle. So you'll kind of see it like this. I got this from the side, right? So you can see as I'm coming in, right? I'm not just going to go straight in. I'm holding it at the very bottom. And then what I want to be able to do is I come underneath at an angle. Then I'm going to use my hand to just bring it up. See that? Straight. So my fingers are attached. I'm not holding way back here and then trying to go on. What I'm doing is I'm holding here so that when I get underneath, then what I'm able to do is just kind of lift up, right? You can see how I'm lifting up to get the form straight, and then I secure the side. That's going to help a lot of you guys get your forms on perfect. And when you guys are working on the nail trainers, don't do multiple fingers at a time. Just focus one finger at a time. The adhesive on the forms, sticking to rubbers, a whole nother thing, okay? So when I'm working from tile, what I want to be able to do is grab a nice healthy amount, and again on one side of the brush. And what we want to be able to do is I want to be able to attach it to the edge. So if I get connection, and you can see how I'm bouncing, and then the tip of the brush is going to connect to that corner. And then I want to swivel. You notice the gel's on the bottom of the brush. You see that tail? If I bring that tail all the way to the corner and then get it attached, now I have it attached to the free edge. Once I have it attached to the free edge, you can see all the thickness here. So what I want to be able to do with the tip of the brush is just lightly start to feather it to the desired length I want to be able to create, as well as the shape. So my go-to is always kind of an almond shape. And again, whatever your client wants. If you're going to build a square nail, then you're going to build a square free edge. But we want to be able to build something that's attached to the corners here. See that? And I find that a lot of people, what ends up happening, let's say you have the gel hanging down like this, right? And you're like, wow, why am I having a hard time getting it from the side? Well, what I want you to do is take the tip of the brush here, lift it up, see that tail? Then what you do is just drag it to the corner and then kind of release up. And then that way it brings all that excess into the corner. You don't care about coming up onto the nail here. You just don't want it hanging down so low. And once you have it cleaned up, what you can end up doing is taking the tip of the brush and then just kind of guiding it, right? Just to make it really even on both sides. Once it's attached to the side, you could use the edge of the brush just to kind of manipulate the shape that you want. The gel is pretty much going to stay in form. It's not going to run all over the place. And then at this point, again, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to get it inside the light. It's not about getting the full minute cure. It's about, again, doing multiple fingers at a time. So if I'm doing this, I would do 2 fingers, then get it inside the light, freeze it, and then work on the other 2 fingers. And if your client doesn't mind, if you're working on speed, I know some of your clients want to be on their phones, right? So they want that one hand free, but what you can do to prevent them from wasting your time is while they're working on this hand, while it's curing, then you're working here. So you're doing 2, 2, 2, 2, and then the thumbs. Okay, so that's enough, right, to freeze that into shape. So then what I want to be able to do is use the magic wand, and then what I could do is just kind of, see, I'm just kind of pushing at the front end here, right? I'm not going to push back here. I'm pushing right here in the front, sliding it underneath, and then as I come down, I'm releasing it. Now I have this built out to perfection, okay? So you could clip the edges, you choose. You could get, like to get inexpensive, especially when you're doing gel. If you want to trim the sides before you do your overlay, you could do that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how we're going to build the body in layers, right? We're not going to try to do it like acrylic. So what we need to do is we need to pick up a nice healthy amount, and then what I want to be able to do is I need to work the cuticle area. So it's really important when you guys are doing gel, it's all about perimeter, okay? So I need to so like you could see how I'm getting this down on the surface, and then I'm kind of pushing this back from behind to try to get it as close as I can. And then I'm going to really just start floating, keeping contact with the surface of the gel, right? I'm pulling forward. See, or I can go from side to side. See that? Literally bringing this down. It's a nice thin layer. I'm not trying to build something thick. And then I'm going to reach down and grab more, and then I'm going to continue. I'm going to reattach it. And then what I want to be able to do is continue to work down and through. So the best part about the gel is, it's not going to dry on you until you stick it inside the light. And what I'm doing with this is I'm trying to build a thin shell, and my focus is really just trying to get the perimeter here built out, right? So you can see if I'm missing product here on the side, what I want to be able to do is take the tip of the brush and just lightly kind of guide it. You see, I'm just attaching it, and then just lightly kind of dragging it into place with a very, very light motion. And I'm not trying to force it down into the corner where it's going to get all over the skin. So I want to try to use the very, very, very tip of the brush with a very light motion to try to build up a little bit of thickness around the edge, because I am going to end up filing this into perfection when I'm done. The side of the nail is going to be flat, and that is absolutely fine. So if you have edges here, you can see that I'm using the tip of the brush just to kind of guide this down into place, right? If the buildup, again, you can see is nice and built up around the cuticle area back here, that's great. You're not gonna, that's where you want to be. You want that cuticle area and the sides built up, and if it's kind of hollow down through the center, what that's also going to prevent is a massive heat spike on the nail. So there's a couple things you can do. Just dropped my hand. There's a couple things you can do to eliminate heat spikes. You can keep the hand in front of the light, just like this. And this is called freezing. So if I keep the hand in front of the light for about, I'd say 30 seconds, then what that's going to do, it's going to cure the product at a slower rate before you physically have to go inside the light, right, and set that for, again, you have to reset the light for a full 60 seconds, right? The other option is using the low timer mode, which is the low heat mode, which is here, and then starting that off. But low heat mode is really, you're going to feel the difference when you're working with the tube gels. Concealer pink and concealer peach, when you're working with the tubes, you're virtually not going to feel anything when you're working. So as for those of you guys, again, that are working and you're learning gels, you're like, my gosh, the heat intensity is so gnarly. What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. All gels do it. Anything light cured is going to cure like that. So because it cures like that, what happens, it creates a thermal effect. And that thermal effect is obviously going to be felt on the nail plate. Someone sent me a message that said, does that do damage to the natural nail? No, it doesn't. It's just, yeah, it's just your nerves feeling the gel curing. It's not doing any damage at all. All right, so to prevent it, you know what to do. You know how to set it. You can see that everything is set now. Now what I have to do is I have to build the upper arch. I have to fill the area from this point to this point. So what I'm going to do, and because I have this protective layer here, I'm not going to feel anything anymore. So I could go to town. Once I build that area out, what I can do is I can get the gel and I can dude, let's just really start to focus on the upper arch. So you can see from the side where I'm really trying to fill this in. And then what I'm doing, you see I'm just kind of using this kind of tick-tock motion, right, to bring the gel into place, keeping contact with the top all the way through, creates that kind of bulkness that I need, that filler that I need. And then what I'll do is I'll use the tip of the brush just to kind of work around the edges. And you could already start to see how it's starting to fill up. For those of you guys that are working with it, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, what I'm afraid of is what is it going to look like when it's just finished? Don't worry about what the application looks like. It's all going to be and what it's going to look like when you're done filing the nail. So once that's built out and I have enough structure there, I'm really looking for the areas that probably need a little bit more. I need some right here, just kind of filling that side. Man, these little fruit flies are killing me inside here. All right, so what we're going to end up doing is, again, you see I'm just kind of using the tip of my brush just to kind of bring that down and then all the way through, just to kind of filling that area, and nothing is moving. All right, so that is done. Now what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to get this inside the light for a full 60-second cure. That's really important, okay? And, you know, at the end of the day, once you're finished doing all 10 fingers, to ensure that the product is cured all the way, you want to be able to set that for a full 60 seconds. The product that's left over, you could store it in white jars, right? But again, for mixing purposes and demonstration purposes, I just wanted to be able to show you guys. If I clean it, I want to get it off. I'm going to try to scrape off as much as I can off of the tile. And then I'm going to be using swipe to just kind of clean the surface. And then even my brush here as well, I'm going to be able to use this, just kind of clean this through. That's how I'm going to clean my brush, by using this material. All right, so 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you're going to notice that the product is fully cured. So what are we going to use to clean the surface? We're going to be using swipe, right? So not only a great dehydrator, but this is also the product that you're going to be using to wipe off the dispersion layer once the gel is completely cured. So I'll come through the surface and even below to make sure that I have everything clean. I'm going to be working with a dust extractor just because I don't want, face mask is obviously the best resource to protect your lungs from the dust. Gel dust is really fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire this up, and then I want to be able to really start working on getting my sides nice and even. Best part about doing gels, it's done. I don't have to wait. So once it's done curing, I'm really just going to focus on just getting my edges, and I'm really focusing on dead center, trying to get that really nice almond shape straight. And then from here, from the sides, on my lower arch, going to file just to keep it parallel to the finger, right? And that's one of the keys to ensuring that our lower arch extends from the end of the growth channel all the way out to the finger. You can see how nice and straight I have that all the way to the top. Turning the hand to the side is really a key, lining it up parallel to the finger and filing in. So if I'm starting here at the tip, it's one thing practicing on these hands. I'm going to hold the tip and then again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to hold your client's finger from the top, and that way you're not putting so much pressure, just making sure that lower arch is going to be nice and straight. Right, so once we have the shape filed out from the sides, then what we want to be able to do is use our safety bit, and we're going to reduce the thickness, again, by looking down the side profile. I don't need a lot. So I'm really going to just kind of touch the side. Right, you can see that, just barely touch, making it nice and even, coming down zone 2, all the way down to zone 3 of the barrel. Build that great shape all the way through. And then using the I-formation roadmap, what I'm going to end up doing is looking down the barrel of the nail, and then I'm just going to literally file. There we go. Going to file in one direction towards myself, right? So that thickness here, just trying to blend that thickness in, trying to make it nice and even, nice even C curve from the side. Boom, just like that. And then around the cuticle area in one direction. You have to be really careful because we're working with gel, so I don't want to it's so easy to put a lot of pressure, and then you end up over filing the surface of the nail. We don't want to do that, right? We still have some detailing that we need to do at the very end, right? Especially around the cuticle area. I don't want to overfile the cuticle area, so I have to be really, really gentle, making sure that's going to be flush. Then as I come through the body and finish this up, I'm just going to hit this with a sponge at the end. You're going to be able to see this. Go ahead and move this out of the way. Let me go ahead and take a wipe, kind of clean this up. Boom. And again, one of the things we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at client profile. And that's, again, I like to look down the body of the nail. And I'm just going to use this 180 buffer just to smooth everything out from the sides. Nice. And then what we can do is you can choose to use any of the of the top gels. What I do recommend that's really important is using some protein bond around the edges. If you decide to go through the perimeter, that is absolutely fine, but you're going to notice that once I apply any top gel over the surface, right, this nail, all right, is I love the shine. I love the glitter inside the nail, right? So you're going to be able to build out any structure with hard gel. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you understand the right technique, you're going to end up with the right results every single time. All right, cool. Hope this helped. Looking forward to seeing you guys in class on Monday. Remember, for those of you guys who are interested in taking some of the classes that we have online, get a hold of Ray Bracamontes here at home office. DM him, Ray Bracamontes, at Ray Bracamontes. He'll be able to dial you guys in for everything. You could always DM me as well. I'm always here to help. Thank you guys for your time. Have a safe weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.